In today's world of market volatility and uncertainty, your retirement plans need to be front and center. With ever-changing tax laws, healthcare worries, and an unpredictable stock market, don't overlook the vulnerability in your retirement planning. Protecting your family and estate will be difficult with shifting policies in Washington. It's more important than ever to keep an eye on retirement.
Hi, and welcome into Eye on Retirement. I'm Rick Everett, alongside our Market Advisory Group panel. Today, we're talking about the upcoming election's impact on retirement planning, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and real stories from people we've met with that you can learn from. Retirement is more than just investments. While the stock market dominates the news cycle, taxes, estate planning, and Medicare changes could leave your plan in need of help. That's exactly why we brought professionals from each area together, and they're here with me today. Our full complement of panelists include Matt Goolsby, financial advisor and founding partner at Market Advisory Group, Joshua Sikora, our lead CPA from Market Tax Services, and estate planning attorney from Eidelman law firm, Gerald Eidelman. Welcome in, everyone. Matt, this isn't a political show, but you wanted to touch on the 2024 elections that are coming our way in November.
So true. I think enough of us are sick about politics, right? But this isn't a political show, but I want to talk about something that can impact everyday Americans, and that's going to be taxes, right? Well, the Tax Cuts and Job Acts will expire next year, and the elections coming up this November, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, it's probably going to have changes, right? If you say maybe a Republican-controlled government, whether it's a president and Congress, maybe they'll lower taxes. Wouldn't you want tax advice to make sure you're maximizing those savings?
Absolutely.
But then think maybe if the Democrats win, taxes probably will change for the worse, and people with retirement savings, IRAs, 401ks, large estates, they're going to need to know how that impacts them. Is it a zero impact? Is it $1? Or is it thousands of dollars? And really, if you're wanting to know, you need to find out sooner than later, because as we're going to learn from one of our CPAs, time is running out, okay? And so wouldn't you want to have your investment advice, getting tax advice alongside with it, working there together as a team?
Absolutely, absolutely. You had recently met with a client you were telling me about before the show by the name of Bud.
That's right. Bud, he actually came to one of our in-person classes that we teach around the metros, and he realized that he probably should have something, have someone take a look at something to make sure he didn't have anything missing. And it turns out he'd actually made some pretty big missteps when it comes time for some tax moves that he didn't realize he did that hurt himself. But he's from Kansas, and in Kansas, a government employee kind of has some preferential treatment as far as for tax statuses on their retirement accounts, but I'm not a CPA. I'm a financial advisor. So probably, what would you guess that I did?
Probably pivoted to Joshua Sikora, our lead CPA with Market Tax Services. Joshua, if you could, tell us a little bit more about what Bud had to deal with under Kansas tax code.
Yeah, so like many states, Kansas does not tax the pensions that former government employees, in Kansas's case, whether it's Kansas or federal, that they receive. It's not subject to Kansas taxes. Bud was aware of that, and Bud also knew that if he took the lump sum distribution out of that pension account and rolled it out to a retirement savings account, that those funds would keep their tax-free status. Kansas allows that. Usually you have to give them some documentation, but Kansas accommodates that. But the misstep that Matt was alluding to was that Bud mixed together his pension distribution with other retirement funds. So then Bud has a situation where Kansas can't tell which dollars came from the pension account and which dollars came from the other savings account. So then Bud lost his tax-free status for state taxes on that pension distribution. And so when we met with Bud, he had some tax issues he was dealing with. Kansas had caught on to the misstep and was making him fix all these things. And so we walked Bud through that and then talked about how to move forward from here.
So we found out was when he got a nasty little gram letter. We call them nasty gram, right? When you get those letters in the mail saying you owe more in taxes, he had to go back and amend 4 years of his past tax returns because he'd been doing them wrong because he didn't have this tax advice with his investment advice.
Now, if tax issues were his only concern in retirement planning, problem solved. However, Bud had a few more issues going on than just taxes.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. He'd hired an advisor in the past and hadn't really been happy with maybe call it the performance or maybe even results. But when he wanted to go through our MAG report with its Market Advisor Group's retirement evaluation process, other risks and taxes, that's MAG report, R-E-P-O-R-T-T. T. When we went through that, we found that he was basically just in a 60-40 split portfolio. And I don't know about you, but that 60-40 split portfolio didn't do too well in 2022 when stocks were going down and bonds were going down. It really hurt a lot of people. But the interesting thing that a lot of people maybe have not been aware of is that hasn't happened since almost the Great Depression. And think about that. If you're using that old 60-40 split portfolio and not looking at other alternatives that you could maybe use to maybe prop up the stocks when the stocks pull back, Bud was in a really big mess. So we built Bud a different plan that addressed those issues, wouldn't need to worry about another 60-40 split blowing up, and helping him with his tax advice. Now he's working together with all these professionals, and now he's making sure he's not making tax mistakes, paying too much in taxes, and he's also taking a different approach on the investments.
So a team strategy came together and improved the situation.
What a thought. And you know, here's the tragic thing, and this is, I'll talk to you guys out there. If you have someone that's helping you with your taxes, if you have someone that's helped you with your estate plan, if you have someone that's helping you with your investments, if they're not all talking to each other, do you know whose responsibility it is? It's yours. And to me, that seems disingenuous because you're paying all these different people, but you're the one doing all the work. It's up to you to have all the responsibility to relay all the technical details, the jargon. And then, would you believe it or not, this stuff changes.
It's a moving target. Do you feel like your retirement is missing something? Are the upcoming tax changes worrying you? You can set up a 15-minute call right now with one of our advisors to discover your next steps. We could help give you peace of mind that your retirement plan is in the best shape it can be. To set up that 15-minute phone call, just dial 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT. Or you can visit our website at ionretirement.com. Just click the Schedule Appointment button at the top of the page. Stay tuned. In the next segment of Ion Retirement, we'll go into depth on the changes coming to the tax code at the end of 2025. And that segment comes your way right after this.
Out on the water, there is a moment. Perfect synchronization. The team working together in harmony to reach their goal. Now, imagine finding a team of financial professionals to help run your course down the river of retirement. Market Advisory Group is that team. Financial advisors, tax professionals, estate planning attorneys, and Medicare advisors. All in the same boat. If you don't have a team like this in one place, it can become a hassle to relay information between them. When you come to Market Advisory Group, we bring everyone together for you. To get you answers in real time. To help make sure you don't miss something that puts your unique plan off course. You shouldn't be the one doing all the work to keep your retirement on pace. You should have a team in the boat with you. Your voice telling them where you're at, where you'd like to end up, and how you want to get there. And at that point, everyone falls into sync, all pulling in the same direction, toward the same purpose. Your retirement's financial security. We are Market Advisory Group, proud sponsor of Shocker Rowing.
Hi, and welcome back into Ion Retirement. Matt, in the prior segment, you said something that I'd like to focus a little bit more time on, and that is that regardless of who wins in the upcoming elections, there's going to be tax implications that are going to affect everyone.
That's exactly right. What is happening is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was a temporary 8-year window. It was only meant to last from 2018 to the end of the year 2025. And when that expires, it's set to do it automatically. So if Congress does nothing, which oftentimes they do a pretty good job at doing that, and they can't get along, what will happen is it will revert back to the system we used 6 or 7 years ago, pre-2018. Now, what benefits have happened from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is we've had lower tax rates and an increased standard deduction, right? But some drawbacks is maybe some people haven't been able to itemize or maybe take other deductions they're used to, like mortgage interest, or more importantly, what we find is charitable giving. And oftentimes working as a financial advisor alongside CPAs, they can help us look at other options we have to use. But the bad here is the fact that this is going to sunset, whether they want it or not. And yes, Congress could make it permanent, but the Congressional Budget Office has said that's going to add too much debt to keep it permanent. So they've got to come up with something. So taxes are bound to change somehow.
So there's a whole new tax world coming, whether we're wanting it or not, but what happens to the estate exemptions in all this?
We'll get to that in a minute because I want to focus on how the tax rates will go up, because what we find when we're doing tax planning that we do typically towards the end of the year in October, November, and December, we find that people are not using all of what we call their tax buckets. So the 12% tax bracket is probably the cheapest we'll ever see it in my lifetime right now. And my dad will joke occasionally saying taxes are on sale. And what he means by that is the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will be expiring at the end of the year 2025, and the 12% will turn into 15, the 22 will go to 25, the 24 goes to 28. So what we find doing tax planning is people are not using all their tax brackets or buckets, and oftentimes we can do Roth conversions or even other income tax saving plans or strategies with our CPAs that we work alongside with.
So that's why it's really critical to have the team in place. By doing this, by having the CPA working with the financial advisor, you basically know exactly how much room is left in each bucket if you're wanting to do Roth conversions.
That's exactly right. And I want to kind of tie in now tax rates with where our national debt has been over the history. Okay, I'm going to show you the national debt with the top tax bracket, all right? Way back when the income tax system came out in the early 1900s, the highest tax bracket was actually lower than the 10% tax bracket, lowest 10% tax bracket of what we have today, okay? And back in the early 1900s, the national debt was $3 billion with a B. Of course, would you care to take a guess, Rick, on when the highest tax bracket was?
I wouldn't have a clue, honestly.
Well, it was in the 40s. And actually, it was towards the end of the Great Depression when tax rates had to go up. Are you seeing the theme here?
Yes.
The worst year from the 60-40 split was near the Great Depression. Highest tax rates, taxes started creeping up after the Great Depression. We're kind of starting to get set up here for kind of almost a repeat of history, right? So then you have the highest tax bracket in 1944. It was 94%. Now, there's probably not a lot of people that are going to be in the top tax bracket. So what I like to point out when I'm talking about this in our classes is actually the lowest tax bracket in 1944 was 23%, okay? So the national debt back then was $200 billion with a B. Of course, tax rates have dropped, the national debt has skyrocketed, and the last time they changed the tax code major-wise was in 2017 to take effect from 2018, where the top tax bracket's 37%, to 2025, which is coming up, don't forget that. But the national debt just a couple years ago was only $21.5 trillion.
Unbelievable.
Today, it is more than $34 trillion, okay? And in 4 more years, it's forecast to be $46 trillion. So why we want to talk about estate taxes is we want to make sure that people are looking at that because we think taxes are going up in the future, okay? And so the estate tax exemption, how that functions is if you have over whatever amount they've exempted, right now the tax rate sets at 40%. So this year's current estate tax exemption is almost $13.5 million. So if you have more than that and you die, you would owe taxes at 40%, or your estate would, and it's just eating away your generational wealth. And how are you protecting your generational wealth is what we're going to talk about in the next segment, right after we go back over to the desk and talk with our CPA and estate planning attorney.
These numbers seem simple in isolation, but they're just one aspect of the retirement puzzle. If your financial advisor isn't talking with your tax advisor, what are they missing? Matt just explained the estate exemption. Is your estate plan geared for that lower threshold? Market Advisory Group can help because we have all these pieces in one place. To set up that simple 15-minute phone consultation, just give us a call at 833-MAG-REPORT. That number again, 833-MAG-REPORT. Or check out our website at ionretirement.com. In the next segment of Ion Retirement, we'll go back to the panel to get into estate planning concerns of retirement planning, and it comes your way right after this.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Hi, and welcome back into Ion Retirement. In the prior segment, Matt, you talked about the estate taxes that are coming our way, and you have a story of a client who was affected by those changes to the estate taxes. Share with us, if you would.
Of course. You know, they listen to our radio show, but to protect their identity, I'm going to call them Steve and Deb. And Steve and Deb, they've been listening to our radio show, Retire Hour, and they've been, I think, a listener for years. I've been on the air for 3 or 4 years. And he's used Joshua, one of our CPAs, for taxes, but he's self-managed his investments. And he was starting to wonder, you know, I probably should go through this MAG report they talk about. And after going through our MAG report, Market Advisor Group's retirement evaluation process, other risk, and taxes, we found out that his portfolio was great. He didn't need any adjustments. He was right where he needed to be. But going through that process isn't just about the investments, okay? It's about a bigger picture. And the risk he had is they had about a nest egg, a net worth of around $11 to $12 million. And we were worried about these estate tax changes coming and how they could be losing almost half their nest egg after a certain point in taxes. And we wanted to make sure that we get that right because there's something they can do, but time's kind of the essence, isn't it, Joshua?
Yeah, absolutely right. So like you were just talking about with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expiring, one of the pieces in there besides the actual tax brackets is the estate exemption. And that estate exemption talks about how you can move your assets around up to the exemption amount and not incur estate taxes when you do pass. So again, think of it kind of like a coupon, right? Uncle Sam says, all right, here's this coupon. You can move around up to, $13 million of assets as a single person, 27 for a couple, and you don't have to pay estate taxes on that. But just like every coupon you've ever used when you go grocery shopping, right? There's a expiration date on those. And so that expiration date, December 31st of 25. So that means you have a limited window, call it 18 months or so, to get a plan put in place to take advantage of this coupon before it expires, and we're going to be with whatever that new legislation is going to be that will take place of it.
But there's a lot of different options people can have. There's not like a silver bullet. It depends on what people want to do.
That's right. This isn't like a, hey, you're 30 minutes, fill out this web form, and, you get this PDF of a report, right? So no, you've got to sit down, you got to have a conversation. You got to find out what your needs are, what are your wishes, how do you want your assets to play out as you move on in years and things go to your beneficiaries. And then we have to match that up to what assets do you have in play, accounts, real estate, things like that, and then marry those two together in a custom report or plan for you as an individual and not just a cookie cutter person.
But you and I can't do that alone, because there's one other piece that we haven't really brought into the mix yet that you and I rely on almost every day to help us with people prepare for retirement, and that's the estate planning attorney.
Gerald Eidelman with Eidelman Law Firm. There's often different strategies to use depending on the number of desired outcomes, but the one outcome we find that most people have in common is they want to save as much of their hard-earned assets as they possibly can. So how do you, as an estate planning attorney, address that and find and share with us also the benefit of having a CPA alongside as you're doing these plans?
Absolutely. As Joshua mentioned, a lot of it depends on what the person's goals are. Some people have charitable intent, and we can do something in that regard. Some people want to maximize the assets that will go to their children. Everybody wants to save on state taxes, if possible. And all of these things require not only knowledge of estate law, but also state tax law, and require a great deal of calculations in order to make sure that we can make it possible for the client to be able to get their desired outcome. So when we're dealing with charitable intent, we have certain things like charitable remainder
trust.
Trust, I'm sorry. Charitable remainder trust.
That's why we work together as a team.
That's right, yeah. And those help be able for you to be charitable today, in the future, have a charitable deduction today, and reduce your state taxes at the end of the day. Then if you want to minimize your estate, you can also do things to take assets outside of your estate and be able to separate them from your estate and make sure they're not included in your estate when you die. So those assets would be exempt from estate taxes. And of course, there's also the ability to be able to turn those assets into other type of, there's also the possibility of gifting, which is one of the things we've been talking about. Gifting now would allow you to take advantage of the full estate tax exemption, would reduce your estate, and thereby reduce your chances of having state taxes when they go down, because you'll get the benefit of the $13.5 million per person gift tax now, and when it goes down, you'll still be able to keep that exemption when you pass away. And so you could give away a significant portion of your assets today in such a way that you remain in control of them, but you no longer have them in your estate, and then they're not includable in the amount of money that's going to be taxed.
You know what I could hear as Gerald was talking, Matt, is I could hear the clock ticking, because the clock is ticking on the current tax coupons that Joshua mentioned, and it's also ticking on the estate planning exemptions?
Well, that's why we put together this show. As Joshua and I were talking this week on a radio show, it's kind of like Noah. There's a flood coming, okay? And there is. And we're trying to save as many people as we can. And if you're not working together with a complete team, I challenge you, what are you missing? Because it's your responsibility to relay all those different things between your financial person, or maybe you're doing your own investments, between your tax person, or God forbid you're doing your own taxes. I would not recommend that. Or maybe you're trying to piece together an estate plan on your own. This is really a complicated issue that if you're not having everyone talk together and collaborate together, odds are you're probably missing something. And that's why we really encourage people to go through that MAG report process and figure out what's going on in their situation. And they don't even have to call in for a 60-minute appointment. We just do it a 15-minute over the phone.
Today's episode highlighted just 2 client stories, but we see stories like this every day at Market Advisory Group. Even in the information age, it can be tough to find the right information, and that's why you shouldn't go it alone. You should have a whole team in the room with you to help you through your particular set of circumstances: a financial advisor, CPA, estate planning attorney, and a healthcare agent. We have that team at Market Advisory Group. If you'd like to set up a complimentary, no-obligation 15-minute phone call, please reach out right now at 833-MAG-REPORT. That's 833-MAG-REPORT, or do so at our website, ionretirement.com. Thanks for tuning in. That's all the time we have for this episode. I'm Rick Everett, along with the entire panel, reminding you that we're here to keep an eye on retirement.
Unless otherwise indicated, all client and prospect names mentioned on this show have been changed to protect the identities of the individuals discussed. Investment advisory services are offered through Foundations Investment Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific investment opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns are not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in the states where it is registered or excluded or exempt from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by security regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. Legal services are offered by Edelman Law Firm. Tax services offered by Market Tax Services. Market Advisory Group does not provide legal or tax advice. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not in any way refer to investment advisory products. Rates and guarantees provided by insurance products and annuities are subject to the financial strength of the issuing insurance company, not guaranteed by any bank or the FDIC. The guest commentators featured in this show are not investment advisor representatives of Foundations and do not provide advisory services. Market Advisory Group does have several investment advisor representatives that can provide such services. This is not endorsed or affiliated with any U.S. government agency, the Social Security Administration, or associated with any federal Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. A Roth conversion may not be suitable for your situation. The primary goal in converting retirement assets into a Roth IRA is to reduce the future tax liability on the distributions you take in retirement or on the distributions of your beneficiaries. The information provided is to help you determine whether or not a Roth IRA conversion may be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Please review your retirement savings, tax, and legacy planning strategies with your legal/tax advisor to be sure a Roth IRA conversion fits into your planning strategies. All rights reserved.